Most of us live like we're one good plan away from finally having it all together. We try to control outcomes, control people, control the timeline, the narrative, and the more we tighten our grip, the more anxious we get. Here's the hard truth. You don't control what happens to you. You control your response to what happens to you. And that's it. But that's more powerful than it sounds. Welcome to Renegade Noble. My name's Jesse, and around here we talk a lot about mindset, training, and building a life that you're proud of. This episode matters because the illusion of control is one of the biggest sources of stress that people carry. It shows up in relationships, at work, in politics, in parenting, in our health. It shows up everywhere. And it turns life into a constant negotiation with reality. But reality doesn't negotiate. However, if you learn to control the one thing that you actually own, your response, you can learn to stop feeling helpless and stop feeling like you make things worse. So let's name the illusion. The illusion is thinking that we control anything other than our response. We constantly think that if we just say the right thing, or if we just do the right thing, or plan it the right way, suddenly people will behave and outcomes will cooperate. Life will stay inside the lines. But the reality is that the world just doesn't work that way. The world's full of people and their actions, weather, systems. It's full of randomness and actions where timing matters. It's uncontrolled chaos that we have to navigate. And half the time, we don't even manage to control our own emotions. They hit us before we know what's happening. So what do? We reach for things that we think we can control. We micromanage, engage online thinking that we can affect somebody else. We rehearse arguments or try to win conversations. Sometimes we force decisions faster than they should be forced in an effort to try to influence the outcome. And it never really works, because we're trying to control the one thing that we can't, the outside world. Here's what you do control. You control what you give your attention to. You control what you say, what actions you take. You control what you tolerate, what you practice, and whether your behaviors align with your ideals. And perhaps most important of all, you control how you recover. That's response. It's agency. It's the real measure of control. Think of it this way. You can't control the storm, but you can control the sails. If you're a martial artist or if you have ever trained jiu-jitsu in the past, then you've learned this the hard way. The new person grips like their life depends on it. They have a death grip on your sleeves. White knuckles, arms start burning, and it's because gripping feels like you're exerting some sort of control. But what happens? Well, they gas out. They lose their grip. Their grips just break. They get swept. They realize control is not tightness or trying to hold with all of their strength. Control is based on position, on your choice of frames, on managing your breathing, managing your timing. In essence, it's managing your body and how you act. A death grip isn't control. It's panic. And in life, it's similar. If you're white-knuckling everything, like your schedule, your partner, your kids, your team, you're not controlling any of it. You're just exhausting yourself. So we're going to build the equivalent of better frames and better breathing. It's a response skill that you can practice in real time. And let's call it the RN5. It's 5 steps, and it's simple enough to remember under pressure. First, pause. That tiny little gap between stimulus and response. Even if it's just one breath, it counts. That gap is where you regain your ability to control what happens next. Second, identify. You have to know what it is that you feel and what caused it. And yes, this sounds small, but it's not. Naming it moves you from reaction to observation. Third, one of the most important steps is to choose your response. Choose your standard before your words. This question will be something that helps you get faster and faster at making this choice over time. But you ask, what does the best version of me do right now? Am I kind? Do I set a boundary? Do I just stay quiet? Do I present a firm response? Do I walk away? Think of your standards as your steering wheel. And then fourth, act. You do the next right thing. Not the entire plan, not a reenactment of everything that you want it to be, not the 5-year version of who you want to be, just the next right step. Send the calm reply. Schedule the talk. Set the boundary. Maybe it's go for a walk or lift the weight. Make the appointment. What we often miss when we're aiming for control of a situation is that all we really need to do is to choose our next step. And finally, review. Later when you're calm, review without self-hate or judgment. Answer the question, what triggered me? What response helped? What response made it worse? Then adjust. That's objectively learning how to leverage what we can control. And that's how we get 1% better. So let's see how this could play out in a couple of scenarios. Let's say you're at work, your boss drops a last minute change. Immediately you're frustrated. Maybe you fire off a fast email, probably have a little bit of a sharp tone. Instead, think about a newer version of that scenario playing out. You pause just for a moment and identify the situation, that you're stressed and you feel disrespected. What choice of action helps control the narrative? It might be a response with, hey, I can get this done by Friday, but if you need Y done as well, then we need to move this other thing. Which one's the priority? And then later review. Hey, I know I can't control my boss's actions or demands, but I'm happy I was able to respond in a way that did not increase risk of burnout, didn't create more stress, didn't lead to hostility. Basically, I was able to stay true to who I wanted to be. Or let's take an all too common relationship scenario and see how it could play out. Your significant other says something that hits a nerve, and normally this ends up escalating because you want to win the moment or because you feel like you're being attacked. So you respond back with something that you know they don't like, or you start arguing about why you're right. Maybe the new version of that scenario plays out like this. You pause. You recognize that you feel dismissed, but you also recognize this is someone I love and I want to choose connection, making our relationship better. So instead you respond with something like, hey, can I tell you how that landed? I don't want to fight, I just want us both to understand. And later you review. Did I ask for what I needed, or did I punish them? Did I make our relationship better? Let's look at an unfortunately more and more common scenario in recent years. A disagreement born out of either political ideology or belief. You see a post and it spikes your blood pressure, or it makes you wonder, how could someone be so stupid? And often this leads to quoting others, long speeches on why they're wrong, or attacking them for their statements, or just generally lashing out at them online. And a better way to handle that scenario is to pause. Instead of lashing out, choose usefulness and then act. Maybe you don't engage at all, which is certainly a valid choice in some situations. Or you respond with one clean claim and one source. If it's someone that you know, maybe take it offline and have an honest conversation about it. Later, review. Did I reduce harm, or did I just add heat? Did I do something that actually moves the needle, or does it just maintain the same vicious cycle? And here's a key piece that people miss. Response isn't just staying calm. Response is also firmly setting boundaries. You can't control what someone says. You can control what access they get to you, whether you stay in the conversation, whether you keep rewarding disrespect. A lot of people will hear you can't control things and then think it means to surrender, but that's not what this is about. It means you stop wasting energy fighting the uncontrollable and start investing energy into what you can actually affect. It's not weakness. It's both an important skill to develop and the manifestation of wisdom. Acceptance is not giving up. It's choosing the right battlefield. So here's your challenge for the week. For 7 days, practice the RN5. At least once a day. But do it on something small. Maybe it's a slow driver, or a frustrating email, a rude comment. Maybe it's a craving or a missed workout. Maybe it's your kid's meltdown. Small reps help build big control. And do one extra thing. Keep a note called My Triggers and My Responses. It's 2 columns, trigger and response. You can think of it as a training journal for the RN5, but realistically, it's just your source of truth for when you need to figure out why you keep finding yourself back down the old familiar paths. The illusion of control will exhaust you. Learning how to control response will build you. You can't control the storm. You can control the sails. Hey, if this helped, I really do encourage you to like the episode, share it with someone who's been white-knuckling life lately, subscribe to the channel. All of those things help us work to move the needle on helping us and those around us become just a little bit better. Until next time, be kind, be clear, be accountable, be brave, be useful. Be Renegade Noble.